So welcome, guys. Um, Today we're going to talk about overthinking. How many of you guys have problems with overthinking? Like where instead of like planning, you just think about like what's going to happen, what are you going to do, especially like when dating. When you're on the phone and you're thinking like, what is this person thinking? Like, do they like me? Do they find me attractive? A lot of times it just seems like it's about the looks. Like, does this person find me, the right fit for them? It's almost like it's this confidence thing. Like if they say that you're good looking, then you will, it make you happy. But then you never get to know the person because you're always focused on like the looks. Like, do they find me, super attractive, or are they talking to their friends about me? Like, I want to know what they're saying. And it's like all this overthinking that really drives you crazy. It gives you like this anxiety that you just can't. It's like you can't relax. You can't sleep, and you just get nervous. When you send a text message, you want a text message reply back in like 2 minutes. And if it doesn't come in like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, then you start to think like, did they get my message? And then you send another message and say, did you get my last message? And then you send another one. And then you start to ruin things. You start to know if you're even confident enough to believe that in what you say. And you become, like they say, like a weak worm. Like that you fall, it's like you don't even trust what you're writing anymore, because you're like, if they don't get if there's not a positive response to the message, then you start to think that, do I even believe with what I'm saying? And that's like the hard part of overthinking, is like to be more confident and don't self-doubt. And it's things that happen in our life in the past that put us in these situations that it's like we want something. And sometimes when we want something so much that we start to think if we could get it, and we just start to really drive ourselves crazy. And there's better ways to relax while, just going about your day. It's like, especially in relationships, like if you could just do things to grow yourself and make yourself better, it's not that we're being selfish about making ourselves better. We're just building value into ourselves. It's important that we build value into ourselves, because if we focus on the other person and we put all our energy into that person because we really want them at a particular time that we think we need them, when we start to think that we need them, then we start to struggle with our confidence, because when things don't go right, we start to beat ourselves up, especially when we feel like that we need to get them right away before somebody else gets them. When you start thinking that way, then you start to get jealous, and just things start to happen, and really you just start to lose your composure, and you start saying things, responding a certain way, feeling a certain way, and then it's just like that you're just really focused on that person. And then it can become like where you've become obsessed, and really you can't function in your everyday life. And you start to think like that you're just like you're losing your passion to do things, because you see this person and they pretty much represent who you feel that you are. And that's like the worst thing I feel with overthinking, is that we can't slow our mind down to relax. We'll struggle sleeping. We'll wake up thinking about what we're going to do, instead of just really saying trusting the next moment, and just feeling that the next moment is going to deliver what we want, because we're confident enough in our lives and with who we are that we're going to find happiness in every moment. So how can we deal with this overthinking? Well, we have to kind of look at what things cause us overthinking. We look in our past. Maybe we lack confidence. It's not that we don't have confidence, we just don't have a lot of it. Like, we're not like, say, we don't have like that highest form of confidence where we just know what we're doing is working. So say in the dating world, okay, so just imagine that you're on a date and both of you are sitting at the table, and both the guy and the girl are both overthinking. They're thinking about what the other person is thinking about them, and it just drives them nuts. Like what maybe the girl wants more. She's like, I want kids. This guy is ideal. He looks good, but she really doesn't know anything about him. However, the guy's looking at it saying like, well, I scored tonight. I can tell my friends that, you know, this girl's hot and you know, it's just another notch in my belt. Or it could be that he wants to see a future in her, but his last girlfriend cheated on him, and he doesn't know whether to trust this girl. And he starts to worry about everything she says and whether she will find him to be good enough. And the girl might be thinking that her last boyfriend cheated on her, and is because she maybe she drove herself nuts looking into his phone and everything, which is not a good thing. When we start to like pry into our significant other's phone and computer and monitoring everything, then it just shows that we really don't trust them. And when you don't have trust, you have nothing. Because really, like, if you go to work and you don't trust the job that you're working, you don't trust what you're doing daily, then you should just quit. It's not like telling you to do that, but if you just can't trust something, like you just don't have no trust, like you feel like that there's no loyalty, no trust, then it's pretty much done. So when you start to like bring all that baggage from the past, you bring it into this date, and you just, instead of having a good time, you're overthinking about what this person, because we could say like, oh, we like that person, they're cute, or we love their laugh, we love their smile and stuff. But when we start to think about what they're thinking about us, so say we're having a conversation and our mind is drifting off, and then we're just thinking about what they're thinking about us, or maybe we're thinking about what we're gonna do the night before, the day of, about the messages, what to say, how they're gonna respond, and we just start to really treat our life like a movie, then we're really gonna create a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and we're just not gonna enjoy ourselves. So I believe that with overthinking is that we need to calm our mind down. We can't clear our mind because unfortunately they say if you clear your mind, what I've heard somewhere on this, I think it's this YouTube ad, it says, congratulations, you reach enlightenment. So essentially you reach like nirvana if you could totally clear your mind. I say, or you're dead. So it's that we calm our mind down. We have to find different ways to calm our mind down, and it's kind of hard. Somebody could just tell you know what, don't focus on that other person. Don't focus on whether they like you or you have a chance with them. Just really have a good time with them. Like go on, just do things that you have in common with them, or try something new, and just do different things that really connect you. Like, because the chemistry is very important. Like, 'cause chemistry could be everything. We have good chemistry, meaning that we have like a good balance. We're compatible, and then it works into like whether you could start doing things for yourself, like go to the gym and look good for yourself. And if you're not feeling good, then why are you not feeling good? Why are you not feeling good with your life? Is it from the past or the way you feel right now? So these are the things that you is causing the overthinking. It's the things that you don't feel confident about yourself, about the things that you should be confident about, because you're unique. We're all unique, and we all have something to offer, and we could all get better. I once asked a guy, I was driving, because I drive Uber, and for the last almost 5 years, it's just good because since I'm a writer, it's flexible. And I asked this guy, I said, on a level one, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of happiness? And he said, it's about 8 or 9. And that's a good indicator, is that this guy's pretty happy with his relationship, with his life, his job, and just everything, his place in life. And I've asked another guy that seemed to be pretty successful another time. He just had run a marathon. And I asked him, like, what's your level of happiness in your life? And he said, depends on what you mean. He said, professional, or personal, or just life. So he had like he kind of expanded it a little, and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. So he started giving me scores like 7, 8, and then he said if somebody's at a 10, that means that there's something wrong. That means that we don't want to grow anymore, and that we're pretty much going to be stagnant with saying, okay, we're happy. Either we're too much into ourselves, or that we just don't want to do anything more because we feel like this is enough. That we're not going to grow, we're not going to grow anybody else, and we're just happy with what with our life right now. And it's not good to be at a 10. We shouldn't be at a 10. If we're at a 7, there's room to grow. If we're at an 8, there's room for improvement. If we're at a 9, we still should be trying, but we should never be at a 10. And when somebody says that, okay, we could get this person and it's going to make us feel like a 10, then that means that we are not really valuing and respecting ourselves and loving ourselves enough to realize that no person should give us a high score. It's that we should feel happy with what we can do with ourselves, and that we have value, and that we know that our value is very strong, and that we respect ourselves because we respect our value, and that if we respect our value and we have respect for ourselves and we have respect for our people, then we love ourselves. And loving ourselves is a very important part of really being happy, because then we don't put everything, like our whole entire value, on someone else, and that we don't do things that are uncharacteristic of how we operate in our days, and that we are ourselves, that we are authentic, genuine, just real. When you do those things, then you start to like reduce the overthinking, and you start to feel that you're doing more things to make yourself happy, which we're not being selfish for doing that. We're not selfish for wanting to be happy, because when we make ourselves happy, then we can make other people happy. And it's important. You probably have heard that if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And that's common. That's common for us to love ourselves. And a lot of people don't love themselves. You could ask anybody, and it's kind of like an uncomfortable question, I say, for anyone to ask another person. Not even themselves, like, do I love myself? It'd be like, do you love yourself? They're going to think that you're kind of like, you could be weird for doing that. But if you're at a level where you could ask them, then I think that'd be a good question to ask. Like, do you love yourself? Like, if you're in a situation where you could help them, and you could just ask them straight up. And then some of them say, I love myself. I do. Like, I love life and I love myself. And I have a best friend, and he says that he's happy. He's at a 9. He said, I'm at a 9 today. So meaning that he's just a happy person. That he loves Disneyland. It really puts him close in touch with his childhood. And he's had some things in his life, some tough moments at times though, but he knows how to handle his life. He knows how to find happiness on his own. He goes out for runs, and he goes out and does these things that are, he travels, and he could do things alone, and he has the confidence to not worry about what other people are thinking about him. And I think it's important to do that, to really, to be yourself, like to be in your own like skin, and say, you know what, I could go to the movies by myself. I could go and dine at a restaurant. I'm not going to worry about what people are thinking about me. I'm alone right now and I'm single, but that's okay, because I'm gonna make myself better. I'm gonna grow, so when that next person comes, they're gonna have the best version of me. That's how you have to be thinking, because when you start thinking that of all the things that you're not good enough and that you don't have a lot to offer, then you start to feel that you don't do enough, and then you stop living your life. You start doing things like to impress others, and you start boasting, and you start like making up. I think a common thing is that when people try to impress other people by accomplishments they haven't achieved yet, Like, because they think that somebody's going to be impressed with them. Like, I do this and that, and they be talking about it all the time. So then we look at it for, span of 5-10 years, and they just don't achieve what they want because they're always talking about it instead of acting, just taking serious actions and saying, you know what, I want this. This is my dream. This is my goal, and I'm going to achieve these things because I deserve it. Because if I put in the effort, I put in the energy, then I'm going to get this. So dating is a killer for like overthinking. Instead of this being confident and saying, you know what, I'm just having a good time with my date. And we're just having a good time, we're laughing, and that we're just really enjoying each other's company. And if we could do that, then we could stop thinking about other things that we're not. That of course we're not going to always be perfect to be everything that they want us to be on that first date, because it's kind of like it's like our parents, right? Like, we're growing up, we're not like the perfect child, right? We could think that we are, but there's gonna be things that bother them, our parents, about us, that we do things, and because they love us, they want to see us happy. But we're not always that person that special child, like, oh, we're the favorite, because we're gonna do things, and sometimes it's gonna be jealousy, with our siblings, because one always got the attention, the other one didn't, and then later on the other one that got the attention assumes that the other one got the attention, so there's all this confusion. See, essentially overthinking creates like confusion because you're just really putting a lot of things in your mind, thinking what you think, and then you make mistakes because you start to say things that you shouldn't be saying, and you start to not be yourself. And I think there's a time that we should try to calm our minds and to know that if we're gonna go out on this date, that we're ready. We should only date when we're ready. I mean, it's not like you should go, I say, when you're not ready. I mean, it's good. So do you think that dating is like an interview, like for a job, that you go on a date and you're interviewing for a position, for a relationship that you may want? You may go on like 10, 20 dates because you're ready for a relationship. And it's always good to be ready, but we're never going to be perfectly ready with life, because there's always things that are going to happen. Maybe our finances are not where we want them to be. We're not totally happy. We haven't achieved things that we believe that we can achieve. But we also may do things that block us, like with self-sabotage, and just keep repeating, the same actions and getting into the same relationships, and just really not making changes in our life. Sometimes people will say, I'm not going to change who I am because I'm happy with who I am. And they could do all these things wrong, but they don't want to grow. And they're like, I'm happy with myself. I'm not going to change who I am because then I won't be me. And I think that's not a good approach, though. We should always be growing, finding ways to improve ourselves, to build. It's like if you have a home and you want to do some, say, home improvement, remodeling, then you do it to improve your home, to improve the value of your home. So I believe that we should improve the value of ourselves. Like, to do things that we want to do. Like, do we want to take a class on something? Do we want to learn a different language? Do we want to know what people think of us? I mean, like, to ask close people, like, why do you value, like, me? Why do you value me? Like, what do you see in me? Like, what type of person do you like, 5 things. 5 things that you think that, represent me as a person. Because you're not going to get, so if you go out and ask somebody, like, I need 5 things that are negative or weaknesses or that you dislike, you're not going to get a lot of people that are going to tell you, unless maybe they hate you, or your mom. Your mom will always be honest with you, so you could ask your mom that. See, these are the activities that you could do to just really get off that overthinking path. We start to improve ourselves, like, through personal growth, and just really finding out what our value is, what people think of us, then we can start using our strengths to our advantage. Not that we're taking advantage, to our advantage, like empowering ourselves. So when we do go on dates, when we go on jobs, we meet new friends, then we're not going to be that type of person that does certain things so where everybody's going to be talking about us. Like, we don't want to be one of those people like, oh God, like he's walking up or she's walking up, and these type of things. Because when you are in that situation where you're that person, and then now you enter that situation, and if you're the type that overthinks, then you're going to start to think like, what does he think of me, or what does she think of me? Then you're just the whole night, you're just like thinking in your mind, what's going to happen next? What are they thinking? Do they accept me? And a lot of it has to do with like whether we have the confidence and whether we trust something or we have self-doubts. And we could feel like that we're, people are being critical of us and that people don't accept us. Because a lot of times we grow up with the image of like, are we good looking? Or do we have are we funny? Do we have like all these like good qualities that people will find value in? And that, if you're a guy or a girl, if you're a guy, then does this girl find me attractive? Would they consider me an option?